Hello everyone, I'm Bethlehem Attfield. Welcome to the podcast Journey to Ethiopia with a Story. The Scroll of Axum is a story that will take you on a journey to 6th century Axumite Kingdom. The story is mostly narrated from an unnamed woman's perspective who lived in the royal court of Emperor Kaleb in Abyssinia. It is Meskerem, the first month of the 525th year after Christ's birth. My family and I are to travel to Himyar in southern Yemen. With our oldest 2 daughters already married, my husband Hermes and I are taking with us only our 7-year-old daughter Azeb. I cannot believe I'm soon to leave this land, this precious motherland that I grew up venerating. I wonder if other women feel the same way about our kingdom. Maybe it's because I became privy to our ancient history when I was still a small child. I clearly remember the time Prince Kaleb's tutor, Abba Samuel, started the day's lesson by telling my cousin, the 8-year-old prince, the story of the creation of our land. My mother and I were sitting in an inner chamber of the prince's room, where she was spinning cotton and I was playfully carding the cotton balls to take out the seeds. I tried to imagine all the processes that were involved to make this tuft of cotton in my hands into a beautiful cotton dress like I'm wearing now. From time to time, I looked towards the room where the prince, the tutor, and his assistant were sitting on a large Ottoman carpet embroidered with silk. Prince Kaleb, who was reclining on a soft silk cushion, sat erect, eager to hear the story while the tutor read from a scroll. His lilting voice rose up and down, making the story all the more engrossing.
Millions of years ago, our land was in turmoil from great forces of nature. The land mass between Arabia and our kingdom started lifting up. Like a pregnant mother in labor, there was nothing to abate the pressure brewing up inside this swelling. A landscape of unequal beauty was born in this land that we now call the Axum Empire. The variety was immense. Flat-top plateau, arid salt plains, high rugged mountains, deep river gorges, rolling plains, and lofty vertical escarpments. A land of such extreme contrasts that makes one think that the creator must have a sense of humor. He also seems to have a weakness for this land, thus he chose it as a residence for the early humans. Isolated by majestic mountains that surround the country, a unique and almost mysterious civilization thrived across the millennia. Our people are known to have the oldest continuous monarchy in history. The Solomonic dynasty began with the legendary Queen of Sheba. The queen's rule extended from Madagascar in the east to Nubia in the west, the Egyptian borders in the north, and down to Lake Victoria in the south. Having heard from local merchants about the mighty and wise King Solomon, who ruled over Israel, she went to witness for herself. The king in return was besotted with the Queen of Sheba's beauty and intelligence. Before her return to her empire based in Axum, the queen conceived a son from King Solomon. The son, Menelik I, is known as the first emperor of the Solomonic dynasty. Upon reaching adulthood, Menelik wanted to visit his father in Jerusalem. The king was delighted to see his son. He gladly imparted his wisdom and experiences of governance and invited him to stay. But Menelik wanted to go back and rule over his own dominion. His father blessed him and ordered the firstborn of all the priests to accompany him back to Ethiopia. One of these men, hoping to take God's favor along with him, removed the Ark of the Covenant from the temple and smuggled it with him. Upon arrival in Ethiopia, Menelik was sad and angry when he found out about this abomination. His advisors assured him that the fact that they made it back safely home meant that it was God's will for the Ark of the Covenant to come to Ethiopia. King Solomon was inconsolable when he found out that the Ark of the Covenant was lost to the Israelites.
Prince Caleb's eyes grew wide with surprise. He turned to his tutor's assistant for confirmation. The assistant, with a bemused smile dancing at the corner of his lips, nodded his head with affirmation. "Yes, my lord, what your esteemed tutor said about this land is true. I have it right here on the almanac, if you wish me to read it for you." The young assistant tutor, a Ferengi from Syria named Esteban, came into the royal court only 2 years ago as a slave. His ship was wrecked while traveling over the Red Sea. An Abyssinian seafarer who rescued him presented him to the king as a slave. "Malcolm," said the prince, "how about our people being the first to inhabit this world?" I stopped carding the cotton, my eyes looking past my mother's spinning spindle, insert, which twirled around and round while trying to digest the magnitude of this news. What a wonderful country we have. Esteban replied, "That too was confirmed by Stephanus of Byzantine. He wrote Ethiopia was the first established country on earth, and the Ethiopians were the first to set up the worship of gods and establish laws." God must have truly had a weakness for our land and people. How else could we be so blessed? I couldn't wait to discuss this with Caleb. I was gaping like a fool. My mother, oblivious to the conversation in the other room, looked alarmed and sharply nudged me. I quickly composed myself and picked up a ball of cotton. Thank you for listening. This is only the first part of the story. We hope you'll come back to this podcast to listen to the rest of the story. Until the next time, goodbye for now.